The Dallas Stars finished the regular season Western Conference champs. Next up, the Stanley Cup.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. The Dallas Stars are Western Conference champs. They finished the season the same way they began it, with a 2-1 win over the St. Louis Blues, and the Stars finish the regular season with a 52-21-9 record. That's good enough for 113 points, and yes, they are a top of the Western Conference. They have secured home ice advantage, at least for the first 3 rounds of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Happy Thursday, Stars fans. What a win last night for the Dallas Stars. They just needed a point to clinch the West, but they went ahead and decided to take the full 2, and it was glorious. A couple of monster saves from Jake Oettinger. Jason Robertson is so silky in the skills competition, and the Dallas Stars get the job done once again. Their 26th comeback win on the year. That's third most in the National Hockey League. What a season it was. And now it's time to look ahead, and we still don't know the opponent for this first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll talk about that a bit on today's episode. Also, Jani Hakanpaa, who wasn't good enough to go yesterday. Will he be ready for game 1? Who knows? The Dallas Stars still have some questions, but they have answered the majority of them in 82 games this season. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it loves Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Another victory last night for the Dallas Stars, and they cap off a wonderful, wonderful season, and they just continue to find ways to win. And it is another case of the Dallas Stars being able to win in multiple ways. They were a bit unvarnished last night. They weren't the most clean. They weren't the most crisp. They had some good looks. They never really tested Binnington a whole lot in terms of high danger chances. They certainly had some good looks, but they continue to battle away even after St. Louis takes the lead. They end up getting one back thanks to Marchment. They get the game to overtime, and then they just find a way to win. A bit of fortune for Jake Oettinger, who completely gave up on the shot from Robert Thomas in 3-on-3 overtime. The most casual stick save I have ever seen in my life, and all he could do was chuckle as he looked at the Jumbotron, and he made a couple of phenomenal stops in the game. So did Jordan Binnington, and the Stars win it in a shootout by a final score of 2-1. They bookend the season with 2-1 victories over the St. Louis Blues. Some good games from a lot of different players. Chris Tanev and Esa Lindell were pretty shut down. It kind of the usual suspects for the Dallas Stars, and that's not the important part of last night. It's just gearing up, being prepared for round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And the Dallas Stars have everything in order. They are pretty healthy besides just one of their defensemen, of course, in Jani Hakanpaa. I thought Dadonov actually looked very, very good last night. He had some spurts throughout the game, but of course there was a touch of I would say hesitation, or at least some slowness in his play, just getting back up to game speed. He's been out for 2 months. I mean, you would expect that in his first game back, but he fit in pretty well with Matt Duchene and Marchment, of course, who were able to pot the tying goal. Something that I loved from the game, which will certainly translate here in the postseason, was Dallas just getting a ton of bodies in front of Bennington. They got a ton of shots through from the point. They were getting deflections. They were creating havoc in front, stopping in front of the crease, and just finding ways to win puck battles. It took a while to finally bludgeon one through, but just playing really detailed hockey. They were phenomenal in their defensive zone. That first 10 minutes especially, they were so tidy. I don't think St. Louis really had a real shot on goal for the first 6 or 7 minutes of the game. Dallas was kind of dominating until they took a penalty, and then St. Louis had some life there for the rest of the period. But just a really solid played game from the Dallas Stars. In their last 20, they went 16-4. They won 16 out of their last 20 games to finish the season. They are one of the hottest teams heading in to the playoffs this season. They end up outshooting the Blues in the contest 37-26, but the Stars just can win in multiple ways, and they've done it in different styles, and that is the true mark of a really, really good hockey team. Dallas can win with special teams. They're top 5 in power play. They top 10, just right around there in the PK. They can play really physical. They don't love to, but they have that ability to, if that has to be, muck it up in the corners, because they are really, really good on the cycle, especially Wyatt Johnston and Logan Stankoven, just because they're so relentless. Look at the Matt Duchene line. A lot of their offense is created from puck possession in deep. They cycle the puck. They get tired bodies, and then they go to work from there, and that's where they find some of their scoring chances. And there was certainly some evidence of that last night. And more importantly, and probably the most key point to this all, and what could truly be the X factor, is Jake Oettinger. He's getting a touch of fortune here down the stretch, of course, but he's just been so sharp. He's been so in control. And if Jake Oettinger plays like this night in and night out in the postseason, the Stars are going to be so tough to beat. It's an easy thing to say, but it's completely true. If he can play better than the other netminder at the other end of the rink, more often than not, the Stars are going to win a lot of hockey games. They got the depth. They can score with all 4 lines. They're really, really nice on the back end. And we'll see what they want to do if Hakanpaa's not available to go. Lundkvist continues to be sheltered. I have to look at his time on ice. He only had, I want to say, 2 shifts in that first period. He played 5:46, 5 minutes and 46 seconds. So the Stars are basically here down the stretch just running 5-man defensive group, which is not great. They're going to have to find ways to get him in, and hopefully Hakanpaa's able to go, because you're just wasting a slot if you're not going to play Lundkvist more than 8 minutes a night, just to at least give some guys some breathers. Miro and Harley played a ton yesterday, albeit they wanted to clinch the West. Obviously, they wanted to make sure they at least got a point and win the West, which is admirable. Of course, it makes their journey a bit easier, you would think. Because if you don't win the West, then you may have to play Nashville, who, of course, went on an incredible run here down the stretch. So we'll see how everything shapes out tomorrow. But yeah, once again, Lundkvist just 5:46, and that's tough. I'll say it's okay due to the fact that Miro and Harley are just going to be playing a ton anyways, and they're going to get a lot of ice time, and they're so elite. Tanev and Lindell have been fantastic. So you just kind of live with having Suter play with anybody, and we saw that last night once again. He played with Lindell a few times. He played with Miro quite a bit. I would love for Hakanpaa just to be back for the sake of having someone else. It's going to be really hard to win 16 games in the postseason just running a 5-man decor. That's going to put a lot of stress, already enough stress, on top of the stress that Miro and Harley are playing with on an every night basis. If you're playing with 5D, it's going to wear them down. And if you hope to get where you want to be, you want those guys to be somewhat fresh, right? Somewhat fresh and able to compete at a high level. That's why it's going to be very, very important that they dispatch one of these teams rather quickly. And hopefully that's in the first round. We would love to win in 5 games. Would love to win in 5 games. That's really hard. That's really hard. No matter who the team is. But if you can win one of your series in 5 games, maybe 6 kind of easily, don't play a ton of overtime, or you have a chance to kind of reset in between rounds, I think would be huge. By the way, Jake Oettinger picked up his 38th win of the season. That actually ties Marty Turco for second most in a season in Stars/North Stars history. Turco had 38 back in 06-07. He also had 41 in 05-06, which is a franchise record. That will be very tough to beat just due to the fact that that's when Turco played like 60 to 70 games a year. That's just not going to be the case. But second most points in franchise history with 113 for the Stars. Second most wins in franchise history with 52. They had their best road season in franchise history, 26-10-5. They end up ending the year at home 26-11-4, and a lot of that damage was done here in the last month or so, and a goal differential of plus 64, and that is tied for best in the Western Conference with the Edmonton Oilers. So some great stuff all the way around. Another phenomenal regular season, and the Dallas Stars are Western Conference champs. What a night at the American Airlines Center. What a crowd, and can't wait for Saturday, game 1 at the AAC. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. We still don't know who the first round opponent will be. Could it be Vegas? Could it be LA? I feel like we've had this conversation a ton, but let's revisit it again. Vegas or LA? Who do you want the Stars to face in the first round? Let's discuss next in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I've been told I'm a competitive person. Okay, yeah, I have a competitive side. Don't we all? And my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards. You have crazy locations. You can build up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with your friends. You can go ahead, charge them rent on iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly. But now you can also heist their vaults for riches yourself. And the leaderboards show you the biggest Monopoly tycoon ever. So it's so amazing that Monopoly Go has this ability to play with all of your friends. I've been able to check it out a few times. I'm still beginning to learn how to make as much money as possible and mess with my buddies in the process. And that's why it's so great for someone that may be as competitive as me. You can team up with your friends as well, people all around the world, and you can use huge rewards. So get in the game, join your friends. You can download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Download Monopoly Go, I should say. It takes 30 seconds. Go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's free. Download Monopoly Go. So the Dallas Stars will not know their first round opponent until the conclusion of tonight's games. And for those of you who do not know, the Golden Knights take on the Ducks tonight, and then the LA Kings will be taking on the Blackhawks. So if the Knights and Kings win, the Stars will play the Kings. If the Kings win, Knights lose, then they will play the VGK. Of course, not very good teams that both of these opponents are facing. So you would think Both teams are probably going to win, so it's shading over to the Kings, and we're going to have to wait till midnight about. Both of those games are a late puck drop, 9 o'clock and 9:30. And we've mulled over this for weeks now. It feels like Vegas or LA, and y'all know my stance. I am all for getting as far away from the Vegas Golden Knights as possible. I'm intrigued, of course, with Vegas due to the fact that they're not playing their best coming into the playoffs. But we know Mark Stone is going to be healthy. They're going to be back to full force, and they just seem like a team that can flip the switch. It does not happen all the time. We've seen it in years past. It's not always how it works. And you also have to factor in that Vegas played a ton of hockey last year. They played a lot of hockey, and it can be a bit harder to flip that switch when you get into the playoffs and it just gets harder again. And I think you have to factor in some of the mental fatigue, like, oh, okay, here we go again. I'm not putting it past them by any means. Edmonton, have fun is what I'm hoping for. Have fun with the Vegas Golden Knights. By the way, I have a bone to pick with the 1-8 seeding once again, or the playoff seeding, because if they went back to 1-8, you would have Colorado versus Edmonton in the first round. McKinnon versus McDavid. I'm telling you, people, we're losing out on some of those type of matchups. I just think that would be incredible. Like the top two players in the game going head to head in a playoff series. Anyways, I digress. We'll get back to that eventually. Of course, LA has not played very, very good here down the stretch either. 43, 27, and 11 on the season. They have 97 points. They have 41 regulation wins. Stars have pretty much throttled LA too this season. I just think it's such a great matchup. LA's not deep enough. They don't have the goaltending. Cam Talbot doesn't do it for me. I think the Stars just have much better depth up front, and frankly, even on the back end. And this is an LA team. Look, all due respect, they are strong defensively. I want to say they're a top 5 team in terms of goals against. I'll have to confirm that here, but they're certainly a good team. Maybe it's just one of those years where Dallas just has their numbers. So if you go to goals against here, the Kings find themselves, they're third, 2.54, which is damn good, and 3.07 goals per game, of course, which is nothing to scoff at. If you look at the save percentage numbers, would love to see where Talbot falls. He falls 915 save percentage. He's having a good season. All right. 2.47 goals against. I mean, it's better than Otter. So I can't sit here and act like Cam Talbot hasn't had an amazing year, but I just, he doesn't have the postseason success, and the Stars offense just seems like another level. And I probably shouldn't be getting ahead of myself and just trying to call a first round win, but you have to like your chances better against an LA team. Plus the atmosphere. Vegas is tough. I feel like it's a festival. It's a pretty good building, even for it being relatively new. They do a great job there. I just think LA is a bit more manageable. The Stars have been so good against the Pacific this season too. I'll have to get you the overall numbers against the Pacific, but it's pretty diabolical stuff from the Stars. So let me get the splits real quick. This is not the best way to do a podcast, but we're kind of running and jumping around here, just waiting for the first round opponent. So if you look at some of the splits in general against the Pacific, they're pretty good. And just some of the numbers in general, in 24 games, Robertson has 26 points, including 9 goals. Johnston has 12 goals against the Pacific. And yeah, they beat up on the the Sharks of the worlds. But I think they only have 4 losses against the Pacific in general. They've been just really, really strong against some of the West Coast teams, and yeah, you'll have to like either matchup. But Vegas is tough. They didn't win again. They didn't win a game against the Golden Knights this season, but they swept the series last year and weren't able to muster up much in the postseason. That's just how it goes sometimes, and hopefully that won't be the case for the Kings if the Stars do draw them in the first round. So still have to wait. It's going to be another late night. We'll have to wait till around midnight for that decision, but it is definitely leaning towards the LA Kings. Nashville will take on Vancouver, Winnipeg taking on Colorado, and then Edmonton, of course, will either get Vegas or LA. So great stuff either way. Nonetheless, the Dallas Stars are Western Conference champs. Yes, they are. I did not predict this at the beginning of the season. I thought they were going to finish second. I thought they'd be in the realm, but not first. And it was an amazing season. And even for how great I thought the Stars were going to be, it still feels like they exceeded expectations to some degree. Would love to hear your thoughts on that. Did they exceed your expectations by any means? Was it right around where we thought they were going to be? Like, I thought they were going to be here, but just the way they did it just feels special, doesn't it? Feels special. And the next challenge is winning a Stanley Cup. It just kind of feels like that. It feels that way around the locker room, just around the team. That's kind of the thing, Stanley Cup or bust. And it's a great mindset to be in. That means you're winning a lot of hockey games, and they got to win quite a few more to reach the ultimate goal. And hopefully joining them in that journey will be Jani Hakanpaa. We had some updates continuing about Hakanpaa, who is nearing a return. Is he going to be ready to go? That'll be one of the bigger storylines revolving around the Stars team. We'll get into that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Policy Genius. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It saves you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts are on hand to help talk you through it. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. Your work insurance policy may not offer enough protection for your family's needs. Even worse, it may not come with you if you leave your job. Check life insurance off your to-do list with no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonnhl or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. Check life insurance off your to-do list. policygenius.com/lockedonnhl. That's policygenius.com/lockedonnhl. Be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today, the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. It's on YouTube. It's also available on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Be sure to follow Locked On Stars on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter as well at JoeyTheJet19. We're gearing up for some postseason hockey. The next month is going to be exciting, Stars fans. So jump on board. Appreciate all the new listeners. Appreciate all the everydayers that have been rocking along with me every single day throughout this season. Your support is truly the best. It really, really makes this podcast go round. It keeps me going. It keeps me on my toes and continuing to try to bring the best episode day in and day out. And we will continue to do that through the postseason. It's just been such a wonderful season, and can't wait to finish it off here strong and hopefully with a trophy. That is, of course. All right. So Jani Hakanpaa still unable to return. There was some rumors, maybe just not rumors, just discussion going around that he could play in maybe one or two of the final games. Of course, that was unable to happen. So is he going to be good enough to go for round one, game one? That is an interesting question due to the fact, as what I brought up in the first segment, Lundkvist is just not going to play. And if he does, I mean, he'll be in the lineup, but he's going to play what? Maybe max 10. He's not getting more than 10 minutes. I don't foresee that in any way, shape, or form, unless the Stars are just beating the brakes off of whoever in a game. They've tried to protect him. They obviously don't trust him enough to have him out there to hold his own. And look, I'm not disagreeing with that but by any means. I've been kind of on this roller coaster ride with Lundkvist too, and it just feels like maybe it's just not his year either, and maybe his time is up with the Dallas Stars, and maybe that's also moving on too early from a young player. But he's just not going to be what you would think giving up a first round pick for someone should be. And that's okay. You swing and miss sometimes. Look, you swing and miss. And I've given up some picks, and maybe this one did not pan out how they envisioned. But running a 5-man D group, it's going to be real tough when you get further and further into the playoffs. And that's why I think it is important for Hakanpaa to return. You get another body in here. You get another physical body that you won't have to protect. He can play on the penalty kill, which is never a bad thing. He can chew up some minutes there. He can just chew up some minutes in general, where you don't have to play him a ton, anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes a game. And they talked about it last night on the national broadcast as well, where Suter is on the third pair now. He's not playing big minutes, which is the right thing. He shouldn't have been playing big minutes in general for the last few years. And that was to no fault of the Stars. Well, I wouldn't say it's not their fault. I should say to Pete DeBoer, he had to put him with somebody. He needed to help him out, and you put Miro with him, which was your best overall defender. But now adding Chris Tanev, you have the ability to move him down the depth chart. And now Suter as your fifth defenseman is really good. You're getting a lot of value there. You're getting a lot of quality, and you don't have to play him against the top line of the opponent, against the some of the special trios that some of these teams will trot out there. He doesn't have to be on the PK a ton, and you can spread the wealth out a lot more. And I think just adding Hakanpaa to that mix will help. And look, I worry about Suter and Hakanpaa a ton. I'll be honest, I just don't think you're going to see a lot of them, even when they're in the lineup together, because they're kind of just rotating guys in and out. And maybe that will change because they're not running the 5-man rotation if Hakanpaa's in the lineup. But I would love to see them kind of keep up with that, where especially with Hakanpaa returning, he needs to get up to game speed. You're probably going to want to baby him in a little bit, where then you can continue to play Suter with Miro sometimes and just double shift Miro if you have to, just to kind of get Hakanpaa's feet wet again until he feels comfortable enough to kind of survive. And I think he'll be fine, just because his game, of course, is not an overly mobile game. He can kind of just set up shop. He can be physical, do what he does best, try to bring some pain, and we'll go from there. Very intrigued to see if he's ready to go. It does make me nervous if he's not, because just running 12 and 5 will be interesting. It feels like you'll have some interesting conversations there. You might as well have Dodonov be an extra forward and kind of mix him in if you're not going to play Lundkvist, but you want to have that option on the back end. Really, really curious to see what the lineup kind of looks like. And hopefully Hakanpaa will be ready to go, because I think the Stars will just be in a better spot if they have 6 defensemen they truly trust. All 6, not just 5. You can get away with it in the regular season. I don't think you can get away with it for 4 rounds or potentially 3, right? Or potentially 4, which you're hoping for. So yeah. Yeah. But that's kind of it. That's all I got today. That's all I got. What a wonderful season. The Dallas Stars, our Western Conference champs, and we'll find out who the opponent is tomorrow night. So enjoy your nights and gear up. It's time. Next up, the Stanley Cup. It's boom or bust, it feels like, for this squad. And they have the makings of a pretty good club. They have the makings of a pretty good club. And yeah, the cards will fall where they may here in the next month or so. Well, that'll do it for today's episode of Locked On Stars. Once again, thank you so much for all the wonderful support, all the wonderful feedback just throughout this season in general, and it's not over yet. So please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Never miss an episode here, especially in the postseason. We'll be doing some episodes after games as well, just some more live reaction stuff, and just staying a bit more on top of it here as the postseason goes along. I'll be there for you every single day. We'll talk about it, and we'll try not to get too high, too low, because the postseason can have some wild overreactions after one game, and sometimes you have to come back down to earth. But I'm excited for it. That's what makes playoff hockey so great. Anyways, have a great rest of your day, and then yeah, we will see you on Friday. So long, Stars fans.